Hey everyone, good evening. Yet another MacBook A1466 for us to be working on. Believe me, you're not going to get any complaints from me over having A1466s. It's the nice sort of bread and butter jobs you want. While it can at times feel like maybe you want something a little interesting, a little exciting, chances are you will soon regret the lack of A1466s in your life if you don't get them anymore. They're a nice machine to have around. So, apparently this one only gives us the amber on the magsafe. So we'll have a squiz and see what we get here. Just plug it in, put our chipmunk in. Better reset our power supply. One thing I'm not really happy with this power supply is that it actually is more difficult to set up the voltages and configuration you want compared to the old one. The old one I had was that one that you see most people have on their workbenches. But unfortunately their control system, communication system is absolutely woeful. So I had to cease using them. Let's see, power. Not a nix. Okay, we are drawing an amp, but we're not powering on, so we could be charging. I would say that's a charge current, but we're not turning on. Okay, interesting. Let's get it apart and have a look. And hello to everybody saying hello. Travis, I will fly over there and punch you in the throat if that is the case. Are you happy with those terms and conditions? Miles seems to be disparaging of the A1466. I don't think they're overrated. I think they're a fantastic laptop. They're lasting very well. It's still very hard to find something that matches its overall usability, profile, all the aspects that made the 1466 so popular. Alright, and we have a 165 and we have liquid damage. Someone has worked on this. Straight away I can tell this has got work on it, or at least feels that way. There's residues of I have done work on this board and I have washed off what I did. Either that or it's a really bad... Yeah, but it is a 165, so the odds have gone against me slightly here. Alright. It's okay, let's not give up yet. No point crying before we found it. We'll just get the stick out. Miles, that's just your personal anecdotes, and we're just going to ignore your personal anecdote because by and large most people are very happy with them. Alright, I'm thinking this has had rework now. Let's see. Yeah, you can see here that corrosion has been in here, but there's no sign of it on there yet. Maybe on the other side of the board, but I have a feeling it's been washed out. Hey Joho. So we're just going to take the board straight out. Yeah, yeah, that kind of didn't feel like... It's a great mystery. It's always fun. That's half the thing of what makes MacBooks so addictive to repair, is that it's like a murder mystery every single time. And the nice thing is, it's all on a very familiar sort of territory. So it's like Groundhog Day, but it's a different killer each time. Better take the battery out. So we know it's charging, so that's sort of a decent start, but yeah, it does bring up the concerns about a possible CPU failure. I think the addiction's not too bad. I mean, yeah, if you can make money from it, like I do, then it's good. Okay, we're just marking our parts so that we don't inappropriately give away these parts for someone else. The UV pen does make it slightly less ugly. Not much though. Because even though it's a UV pen, you can still see it. The other nice thing about the 1466 is that it's pretty easy to get apart. Not really a lot of traps. There's probably, I would only consider there to be one trap, and that is the screw that goes into the end of the heatsink. And you get people who struggle with it, and by struggle I mean they just basically keep trying to drag it out until they actually snap it off. Hey Kenny Widden. Short to ground, there doesn't seem to be anything leaping out yet, but maybe a different story on the other side once I get it out. Come here. Yeah, so that came off real easy, so the evidence is pointing towards this has been disassembled before. I think this is a 1.88, so it's a high-end one. Alright. So we must be getting 342, we must be getting SMC. Let's see. Let's start up here. This is a... I'll have a look at that. See, yeah, look at that. That there means, what have you done? Now maybe someone spilled clear alcohol on here. Yeah. Not too sure. There's a little bit of corrosion there. But to be fair, I don't think that's going to come in and play on this at all. Probably by me. Lewis. Yeah, it doesn't look like my kind of work. I wash my boards. This looks more like the work of someone who doesn't have an ultrasonic cleaner. So they did work on it, washed it off best they could with alcohol, and that was it. And that's fine, you know what I mean? It is technically okay. Just visually you can... And oh look, there's a great big fat fingerprint. We can find out who did it. We'll go all CSI on their backside. Okay, nothing on the top side that I could immediately see. To be honest with it, being completely dead, it's hard to say. Oh, well no, actually it's not completely dead. It's charging but not booting. So I may have to take the heatsink off. I'm scared to do that because I don't want to see the reality that may come rushing up to me. I guess we have to face our fears. Someone's crusty leftovers. If they did do rework on this, I'm not really 100% sure what they did it on. All I can guess is that it's somewhere in this greater region. I'm looking for a join that is, different to everything else. But honestly, I'm starting to wonder if maybe they just washed it. Maybe there was no, I just chipped that. I just chipped that diode there, so that's a bad start. Well done, Paul. I'll have to replace that. Someone remind me before I finish to replace that diode. Yeah, heatsink's coming off. If it wasn't a 165, I wouldn't be bothering with the heatsink, but being a 165, they do have a strong predisposition to failing in this way. And thankfully, it looks pretty good. Nothing destroyed there. So we've actually got a bit of a interesting one. We'll check the resistances of the MOSFET. What am I talking about? CPU resistance. $20 ohms, that's perfectly good. GPU side, 160, that's fine. Well, I am on 60 frames per second, so I guess that's half speed. Let's check the PP bus views. Oh, hello. 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 PP bus fuse is not working. Or it did work once. Alright, now the question is, do we have a short on our main PP bus rail? Okay, not that side. Yay, there you are. Okay, so the fuse is blown. We have a short on our PP bus somewhere, so we've got a cap probably that's crapped its pants. Excellent. Question is, which one? Could be one of many. I'm not seeing any that are visually apparent. Actually, I'll take that Wi-Fi off. Was this no American accents trying to sound Aussie? Well, I'm certainly not trying to do that. Alright, so we've got... It's a very hard short, as in it's... There it is, found it. Once you know what you're looking for, it becomes apparent. Hey Coda. Yeah, we got a pretty much a classic job here. So we've got ourselves a short. So I'm going to have to actually replace the ISL as well. Just as a standard precaution, when you have a short that takes out the fuse, it's a good idea to replace the ISL. So we're just going to pickle this little bastard. There you go. What the hell? Did Lewis just upload a video, or is he running live? You should know better than to be going live at this time. Oh yeah, that stinks. It's out of here. Let's see what our PP bus continuity is like now. .360. Okay, 56. We got to get rid of this fuse because the fuse is open. When it comes to removing MacBook fuses, a few people have thought that maybe they use a higher temperature solder on it, but that's not the case. It's just that there's a hell of a lot of thermal absorption capability around here. You know, you've got these full floodplains and you've got multiple complete layers of ground. It's very hard to get this area up to temperature. So you just got to be a bit patient. There we go. Did you fix the 840 that did not recognize camera? Oh my goodness, I can't remember that one now. I don't think I did, or no, that's too long ago for me. Sorry. We'll just clean up those pads as well. Hey Victor, good day to you. Don't forget I've got that diode to replace as well. It probably still functions, but I'm not overly keen on having a chipped part on there, unless it's a chip. No. Christos. Yeah, I've got to agree, most Australians are basically just fat, lazy bums. They probably put more effort into trying to project, or yeah, they put more effort into trying to maintain that image than actually maintaining that image, if you know what I mean. It's like, it's all lies. Then you have to go around these towns on a Friday evening to realise how lazy most people are. But I think that's true of any population, pretty much. Hey Rob Brown, good to see you here. Don't get to chat to you much lately. Hope you're doing alright, all things considered. Yeah, I know there's always something that... Oh, shite. That was just sitting there. I was watching for the solder to reflow and it just didn't. Not visually. That's why it's actually a good idea when you're waiting for these things to come off from a donor board, if you scratch the pads, and then what happens is, because you put a mark or a scratch in the pad, then that will go away as soon as it reflows. So yeah, so if you put a dent in it or scratch the solder, it's an easy way of determining exactly when that solder has reflowed. Alright, okay, so that's those two parts. I'm going to replace this part as well because it does have a little bit of a liquid damage here, and we're going to replace that little diode that I chipped. Been so busy, barely time to knot up. Oh, okay, well I'm glad you're busy. Hopefully it's something profitable and not something that someone's going to scam you out on or do a runner on the monies they owe you. A bit frustrating what they've done to you in the past. I'm going to get this part off first because it's actually going to be quite hard to get that little diode off. So I kind of want to heat up the board first. Okay. So by preheating the board, it made it easier for me to then just add a little bit of heat and that diode would come off. Hey Coda, you managed to pick up power supply for a PlayStation 5 for 104 quid. Are they internal or external power supplies? Shows how much I know. I don't know anything about. I'm still waiting for my power supply to turn up. That's for the PlayStation 4S. Jan, I can't really do much about the brightness. I've tried. It's just going to take time. Sorry. You can send it through to the internet bit bucket and they'll let me know. Yeah, it'd be nice if they were all external power supplies, but I suppose people also at the same time do want that all-in-one type feel. Oh, that's right. I remember you mentioning that the PMIC was failing. Do you know why it's failing? Is it like overheating? Does it need more heat sinking, or have they not decoupled it properly, or is it just a shitty design? Ach, niemand. Of all the places to put that. That's okay. It went back down okay. All things considered. James, I use the same stuff Lewis Rossman uses, the Amtech 559, the V2. Although the actual formulation has changed now for a third time. And we're sort of back to the original format, the one that smelled okay. Unfortunately, the shipment they sent me has not really got a good smell to it. I was disappointed. Man, it's such a pain dealing with those tiny diodes. You look at them wrong and they go, that's it, we're chipping. Okay, now, I know the IS, in fact that looks, if I had to guess, it's almost like they did replace the ISL, because those joins look pretty damn shiny to me. But it looks too good. Jim, no, I've told YouTube to explicitly deny notifying you. I am just a bit surprised at how shiny it is. So I'm kind of thinking this has got to be a 2017. Because it's just way too pretty. And it is installed pretty much perfect. Anyway, there is probably nothing wrong with this ISL. I'm only replacing it out of an abundance of caution. Quite frankly, sort of the only fear I do have with these type of jobs is that there is a little bit of a tendency for the SMC to subsequently fail a few months later, but I'm hoping we don't encounter that. Oh, sounds like you're having a bad month this month. Oh, look what you did, Miles. You caused that. All your negativity spread over onto my board here. Not something I normally do. Okay, I'm gonna get a fresh ISL. Lucky for me, I bought a lot of them. See, Cody, you got 3 MacBooks to fix. 1466s, the broken screens were also water damage. Yeah, I know what you mean about the content's sake. Sometimes it's like, well, this isn't actually financially viable for me to fix. But I'll do it for the sake of the YouTube video. How'd the reball? I haven't finished it yet. One day. There's junk on my tips. You ever come across the 7008 that keeps frying the solid state drive? Wow, mega hot. Alright. That I can't say I have, but it sounds like something's not getting regulated properly. Hey, Kristen. You had them for free. Oh, okay. Yep. Free is very nice. I mean, you don't always, get the ideal parts and stuff for free, but yeah, if you can get some bits and pieces out of a free gifting of bits and pieces, yeah, that's good. I'm just using hot air assist here. This is only 250 on the temperature. It's not a full reflow temperature. Only 250 on the hot air. And oh man, great big booger on that. I'm gonna just snavel that up with the big tip. Okay, lovely. $13.89, that keeps turning off. $13.89 or $13.98? Okay, I'm going to assume $13.98 TT. I would say if it's not a 3332, then it will be your VRM modules for the CPU. You need to replace them. They're the FDM F6808s. and you need to change them to FDMF 3030s or something else that's compatible. That's usually what the problem is if it's not a 820 board. If it is an 820 board, that will be U8900 GPU VREG drive that needs just resoldering. That's all. You don't even have to take it off the board. Just resolder all around the legs. Make sure there's no bridges, and you should be good. I'm actually pretty happy with that solder job. When it comes to QFPs, I find that the real trick is to have enough solder on that center pad that will let it float, but also not too much that it won't get contact with the legs. So when you let it float and then it can contact the legs and it's just right, it will pull itself into alignment. It's very fractionally anti-clockwise tilted, but barely enough. I don't know why I bothered to save that. Yeah, that always gets trashed as soon as the alcohol touches it. I might as well just slice it off properly, because it'll go through the ultrasonic cleaner and it's ruined anyway. Good on you, Paul. You just went from a normal mess to a real mess. Okay, that's better. This is a customer job. I do have a bunch of donor boards, but this one is customer. ISL 9240s and 9239s and all that. Yeah, if you've got the pads flattened out and you don't have the hot air on too strong in terms of the amount of air, then yeah, they are pretty much a straightforward drop down and go. The problem with those is when you don't have the pads all flattened out, or you've got too much air coming out and they just fly off the board or things like that. Not so much of a problem now, but back when you couldn't get them, it was a bit of a nightmare. Okie dokie doke. Let's see if we've got this one as a fix. Come on, just hopefully we don't hear a bang noise from under there. Okay, we do have power up. We're doing about right, 500 600 milliamps, so that's good. We should see a blinking green light in about 10 seconds. Which means it'll happen after 12 seconds, just to give me a panic. Hey, there we go, we're fixed. That's great. So basically we had a classic shorted cap on PP bus, which took out the fuse, and we also replaced the ISL as a precaution, because chances are if you don't, then something funny might happen later on, and because you were the last one that touched it, it'll be your fault. And it actually would be your fault because you didn't do the complete repair process. To be fair, it's not something you would actively it's not something you would actively think about. It's only through watching other people's videos or personal experience that you would come to understand that you need to have that ISL replacement done as well. Okay, so we're going to put it back together, make sure it charges, make sure everything else is okay. I'll be surprised if anything else is broken. because that is at least the nice side about PP bus faults, is that they will, PP bus short, they will just sort of shut everything down straight away. Come on, get in. Thank you. Hey, Blue Dog Ron. Yeah, it has been nice that we haven't had rabbit holes too much lately, Greg rather. Yeah, we were going through a phase there for a bit where everything was a freaking rabbit hole. Oh, and that, a while ago there was an M1 I did, and it had that full body vinyl layer on it, vinyl cover. That ended up, it was fixed, but the backlight wasn't working, but I think it's actually the backlight on the display itself. I think there's a comms issue to the backlight management system in the display, and it's basically causing the computer to say, well, look, I'm going to send you data, but given that you don't want to do backlight, that's your problem. Okay, initially we're just going to make sure she comes up, and we'll plug in our MacOS boot USB stick. That lets us diagnose everything very quickly. We're still going to hold down the option key even though we only have that one stick, otherwise you've got to wait for it to fall through. Yay, bong. Okay, that's got Big Sur on it. Not a fan of Big Sur so much, mostly because of the visuals, not because of the technical reasons. But in this day and age, we're allowed to hate things for superficial reasons. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, battery showing 93%, that's good. We should be able to just, yep, no dramas there. Okay, that's good, that's good. Made me panic there for a second. There was a little bit of a delay on the keyboard. Okay, escape works, cap works, left arrow, that works. Okay, everything's good on the keyboard. Fantastic. Wi-Fi is working. Temperatures are all good, in spite of the fact that I barely put that heatsink back on. So I'm pretty sure this is a 1.8 and 8 gigabyte. Oh no, 1.6 8 gigabyte. Well, that's okay. Is that Milo out there? I think I can hear Milo on my door. Milo, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? What's up to? What? What is it? Oh, I'm busy repairing. Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Yeah, no, shouldn't be too much longer. Yeah. What is it? You okay? He's a funny one.
He's been sucking.
Yeah. A big suck. Where's Loki?
I think he went outside.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, there it is. Been eating. How's your headache?
I still got it.
Yeah. Alright, hey, Sicky's here. And Optimize. Unfortunately, I couldn't grab him because I've got flux on my gloves. So if I did that, that would not be a good thing. Hey, Francis. Just check that it reads the SD card. It's not. There it goes. Okay, SD card is read. These are all the little things that you got to check before you can mark a machine as being fixed, even if it's not related to what you're doing or what you found. It's so important to go through and check everything. Okay, alright, I'm happy with that. So shut down. Now the only thing left for me to do is to test to make sure that the solid state drive works. You got a VHS recorder to fix. Wow. I still have those things? No, we don't give our cats milk. They will get cream occasionally, diluted cream, but not milk. Okay, this actually should boot. Okay, fan spin. I'm just tilting it down because obviously it's going to come up with the person's name. Hey, wrong way. Godfrey Allen. Yeah, sorry Godfrey, kind of missed that one. I'll see if I've got another board to fix. I'm sure I've got something. Alright, that looks good. This person's going to be happy. So we can mark that one as being appropriately fixed. Just needs an ultrasonic clean and then reassemble. Let's get it prepared for the ultrasonic. Save me doing it later. That's the other thing is, when it comes to the repairs and the amount you charge, while some people may see, even if you go by, you're paying for the years, not the minutes. But if you ignore that, and people see you repair something in, say, 20 minutes or half an hour, there's still the whole process of dealing with the customer, accepting the machine when it comes in, unpacking it, marking, getting all stickered up, putting it into the right place, and then you've got to disassemble it, fix it, and then after you've fixed it, you've got to clean it, and then reassemble it, then retest it after the assembly. That's right, you've got to retest it again after you've cleaned it up. So there's a lot of work that gets done outside of the repair itself. And while it may not be perhaps something that's requires a high level of technical proficiency, it is still time, and someone has to expend that time in order to do those tasks. So yeah, that's why you still get charged, even if it was a 20-minute fix, or 5-minute fix for that matter. Hey, Tech 32. Yeah, it's a nice win. It's a nice win because it was a clean win. We got a distinct smoking gun, we can fix it. Yeah, there's no uncertainty involved, as opposed to those horrible jobs where you replace a part and it works, but then you don't really know if it works because you replaced it or it works because you heated the board up or you moved something around, and you're left with that uncertainty of like, well, in a couple of days will this fail again? That stuff is just maddening. 1224. Okay. Coda, are you charging by time blocks? Like, you mentioned the 30-minute blocks, or do you charge on a per job basis? Let's see what we can fiddle around with. I better just clean this up first. The customer never sees all the extra work that's involved. That's quite right, Andrew, yeah. Like, if they happen to see a video that I've done, and they go, your video was only, you only took 20 minutes to do that on the video. Why are you charging me all this? And so, well, for one, you agreed that the price was for the fix anyway, when you sent it in. And second, yeah, as we've just discussed, there's all the other work involved. Hey, GD Tech. Okay. We're not going to be able to fix this one though. That one's got a nice popped out PCH. That's the one that we did the other night on live stream, and it decided to pop after we fixed it. Which one is more expensive to repair, phones or laptops? It really depends on the fault, to be honest. I would consider phones to actually be a more precarious proposition in many cases. You're dealing with a lot smaller parts and problems that can very quickly go from being repairable to absolute nightmares. 1224. This is the other thing. I generally like to keep the parts that I took off the board in a little baggie and put it into a box for historical reasons. Okay, you can go back to the donor bin. So yeah, charge on a per job basis. Some chips can cost 30 quid, so I'll add the extra to that repair. But in terms of time, I generally charge in 30-minute blocks with 30 quid minimum fee. I shouldn't lose out because I'm proficient at my... Oh, well, I mean, that's absolutely correct, yeah. Like, I mean, I charge, say, 329 Australian for that job. And sometimes I win. Sometimes I do not. Okay, I've got TMD on this, which typically means too much damage, but I'm not sure why I would write that. The board looks perfect to me. Which means, of course, it is not. You used to collect warranty stickers until you saved up over 100 and got bored. Okay, that's a field replacement unit. That's probably why that's trash. That's a nasty board that no one wants to fix. 3437. Okay, I have fixed this one. This is actually a donor. It's funny, the 3437s have gotten to the point now, particularly if they are, say, below 1.5 gig, and if they're like 1.3, 4 gigabyte type combos, I essentially consider them to be donors. They do not have a lot of value anymore other than things like the SMC, and even the SMC is becoming less valuable for those scenarios. Okay, we've got 1175, which is a looper, which means it's probably... I'm going to try this one because I want to see if this is the SMC fault that I've been experiencing. And what's this one? This is a false booter, which will be the same situation, but I have replaced the SMC on that one. Alright. So I'm going to try the first one because the SMC has not been touched on it, which means it's quite possible it may be one of the ones I can repair. Hey, ITC. So what is this? This is 1.6. Okay, this isn't exactly a high value board, but it is a 165. So I'm gonna give it a shot. And it's had some work on it. Interesting. I don't know why it ceased and desisted on this. Okay, looks like I've been doing something with the ISL there. Interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna go with maybe SMC. Oh, what? Had a panic moment then. My LED microscope light just died. It just turns out it was a loose connector. Here we go. It's a fan. Should get some toe tags. Yeah, I actually do have them, but I just don't use them. Normally what happens is once I'm convinced that a board is genuinely dead, I throw it into the donor boards. But things have been getting a little bit out of hand because, you know, I picked up that box of 22 boards and I've had a few other boxes of boards come in and I've run out of room and I started mixing things up, unfortunately, so a bit silly of me. Let's see how we go with this, see what sort of milliamps we get. So we do get that, and yeah, straight away you see the milliamps is 360 or so, so this is possibly going to be an SMC fault. So yeah, it'll do this, it'll then come back up and be stuck at about 350. Yeah, so this may be, it's a classic fault on the 165, but for the longest time we've been finding that it's a PCH issue, or probably a PCH issue. But then the other day, for some reason, I just thought, you know what, I'm going to try something different, and I put a 3437 SMC on here. It's not something you can leave there permanently unless you reflash it through the new system, but it's possible that it can be the SMC. Not always, but it is occasionally the SMC. So we're going to do an SMC. Do you sell them as working boards when you fix them? No, I don't actually. That's the problem, is I don't know what to do with a lot of my boards. I don't want to put them on eBay because we know that eBay is going to do unfortunate things to my body cavities. So that's it's out of the possibilities for the moment. I can guarantee you, if I put them on eBay, I am going to get people buying them and then requesting a buyback or, you know, a refund. God damn it, I cannot see the goddamn pointer. Okay. Don't know why I can't see that pointer. Yeah, scam purchases, that's it. No, still can't see the pointer. It's around there somewhere, but I really cannot see it. Let's see. Auto white balance, exposure. God damn it, oh, finally it turns up. Yeah, see, I mean, I got my brightness up to 100% there. I just can't, I can push my HDR up, but HDR sort of really isn't that pretty. I'm going to stick it at 3. We'll leave it at 3 for the moment. The problem with HDR is it does have this tendency to make a really artificial looking color field for some reason on this. The gold starts becoming way over the top. The trouble I find, Coder, is even if you serial mark them and all that to make sure people don't swap them on you, is that just people who don't know what they're doing trying to use these boards, they stuff it up and then the blame lays with you. So if I was going to do anything like that, I would probably, offer it as a mail-in board replacement service, but that would be about it. Yeah. You ordered a new 4K Haya. Is that microscope camera, I'm guessing? Hey Toes Tech. And yeah, Von Reaper. I guess you could just say that I've been burned plenty of times by eBay's policies in the past where they will default to the buyer. I mean, I have enough fun as it is with PayPal. Fortunately, I've managed to set up... What am I doing? I need more flux. I need flux so that it gets underneath these pads, the edge bonding, and helps them lift up. Or at least inhibits them from sticking back down. This is only 250 air, so it's not really a lot. It's not very hot. It's just enough to get this stuff soft. There we go. Yeah, I'm not even sure I could take the gamble and letting the viewers buy them. I've had my own fair share of fallouts with the viewers. Not many. But it's enough, how it is. It's like you have one dud and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Okay, it looks like I've got SMC liquid damage over here as well. You can see by the clock circuit. Most of the time I tend to have boards, I just sort of keep them, and if someone brings in a machine and the board is genuinely dead, at that point then I'll probably offer a replacement. The other reason I like to keep functioning boards though is because I need to do the data capture for them. For all the diode mode, voltage modes, things like that. One of these days when I get my time together, and I've also still got to mail out lots of multimeters and probes to people. You're nearly there. Come on, just a little more. There you go. 12.5% fee now. Wow, they're taking 1/8 of the sale. That's crazy. Teresa, yeah, that is a wire on the right there. I didn't realize eBay was up to 12.5% these days. It's bonkers. And then we clip off a little bit of wick, and then we will hot air wick all the solder off those pads. Hey Six Skills, hey Stuart Menzies. put a little bit of flux on there to stop it oxidizing. And that flux will also be used when we put the replacement down. Kind of wonder if there's continuity between that cap. That looks like a bit of a dodgy trace there. I mean, it sort of looks like it's connected, but I'm gonna do a continuity test. Yeah, that's good, but it's a little bit iffy, so I might replace that afterwards, or just reinforce it slightly. Right, so we need another 165. Those suckers are in short supply. And I've got to remember to throw these out more often. You get tempting to sort of go, well, look, yeah, in case you've made a mistake, you hold on to the SMC that you took off, because it might be good. But then when it's proven that it's bad, you have to remember to toss it. And that's the tricky bit. Okay, as I said, I'm looking for a 165, and let's see. Alright, I've got a SMC here. Interestingly though, it's also listed as dead PCH. So I'm just going to see what sort of behavior this one also has. The reason why these don't get tossed out is because for a long time I'm always sitting here thinking maybe I'll be actually find the true cause of the fault, and I don't want to throw it out. Okay, so that one's definitely a goner. It's just cycling there. Okay, so we can take this one. As soon as you toss it, you need it for parts. Precisely, that's the other thing. The whole fear of throwing out what you actually should not have thrown out. Now, given that this has already been replaced, there is a possibility that it's going to be dead, but we'll just have to take that gamble. How becoming a hoarder starts. Well, too late, already won. And that's why you need to invest money in buying bigger properties with bigger storage sheds. And then when you die, someone else can clear out your crap. Alright, that's definitely leaded solder. You will stay there. You can go in the bin. That's why they made shipping containers. Exactly, yes, very good. Hey, Xenon G, yes, hoard everything. Hey, creature, good to see you here this time. I can sort of get away with doing this without flattening the balls on this one, the pads on it. It's not the most ideal, but like I said, I can get away with it on this particular setup. Now we just have to take it back out, and we've got to wash it, and then we've got to wash everything else. Naturally it lands face down like toast with butter every single time. For a moment then I thought I had a large solder pad still going on there, but it wasn't. It was just a stray. There, you can see it down there. Having a coding nightmare due to stupid preprocessors. Are you really having a preprocessor issues? I try to keep my usage of the pre-processing options to an absolute minimum precisely because of that. Because they can be such a pain in the backside to try and find preprocessor faults, bugs. Because you don't really seem to have the same level of syntax or fault awareness in the pre-compiler stage. Hey, V-Blood. I will say that these earbuds, Q-tips, whatever you want to call them, this particular batch that I got, 2,500 of, they're a little on the shonky side. Not 100% happy with the purchase, although at least they are, wooden stalked. So at least I'm not wasting too much plastic. But they are not very well wound, so they do tend to unravel a lot quicker than I like. You want to do a compound literal struct and then or a few things on one of the members. Yeah, I don't think the preprocessor has that sort of. Then again, the preprocessors are always improving, so my limitations are my mental limitations are probably set from way back, beginning of 2000 era. So who knows? It's one of the fun things with programming is the standards change and the support changes. It's too hard to keep up sometimes. It's almost like a full-time career just trying to keep track of all the changes that they've made. Oh yeah, Francis, I found that as well, the paper ones, the paper stalk ones, you're right. It's like, it would be great if you just lived a little longer. Yeah, I'm just sneaking balls out of the crack there because they're probably pretty good condition. Okay, pop, pop. Where's my stencil? Ha! Oh, the never-ending quest to find the stencil. I have multiple SMC stencils and... found you. Trouble is this one's dirty. See, this is what happens when I don't put them straight into the ultrasonic container. That's okay, we'll heat it up and wash it. I could use another one, but it needs to be washed, so I'll wash it. Looks good enough. Famous words, I know. Okay, let's get my supply of fresh, untainted 0.35s. Where are you, 0.35s? There you go. Are you around, Coda? Phil? And so this is how my IPA reball sort of thing usually goes. Hey, Eric? I didn't degrade anyone. I didn't bring the grade down. Everybody was already there. Just looking for the opportunity to exploit it. And then you just go roll them around. Yeah, looks like everybody's got one. And just sweep them off the board. That's it. You got all the balls in there now. So clearing out some things that I probably should have cleared out before I... Oh, anyway. Alright, now the fun thing for me, because I'm trying new stuff like an idiot, is to now transfer this mounted assembly to the hot plate. Let's see. And I bet you Phil wasn't around to see that. Typical. Okay, so I've got this hot plate assembly now. It's just in one of my spare handles for the hacker. But I've got to lift that out of there and place it on here. Which is an interesting process. Okay, breathe. Because the problem is going to be that if I get the angle wrong, I lift the stencil rather than the chip. So fortunately I've got my... This is actually what I use to take iPhone home buttons out, the Touch ID ones. I use this to slide it under. So here goes. But the fun thing is also that it's spring steel, so it can also go very wrong if it gets snagged. We go. We're good. The next hard thing here is actually... Okay, we're powering up. Oh, catches me out every time. Is getting the flux down onto it without messing things up. Okay, it's heating up now. Kind of hoping that flux will wick out. Chances are it will not. Not enough anyway. see how it goes. Ooh, need the extractor on. It just takes a while for it to get up to temperature. It's getting there. There it goes. Zoom, 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 zoom. And may as well turn off the... I can see one or two haven't quite jumped across. Oh, there's one over here. Yep. And that is why you have to be careful with the flux. Cannot get that bastard in there. There's one over there. Most of the time, the ones that haven't properly aligned, that is because I probably had a hair in the stencil. Okay, as far as I can tell, they're all good now. So now we just got to wait for it to cool down. So it is disconnected. I'm just going to go put it into the cooling section. Miles, I am planning on making a contraption that does combine it all together, but I kind of need my CNC machine. In this particular case, it wasn't because the pads were oxidized, they were all fine. It was because the tiny little hairs getting in the way. If you rewind, you'll see I made comment about them. Okay, now the other trick I'm not quite sure of yet is ascertaining when they're... Okay, that's good. That looks perfectly good. Except now it's kind of stuck. I think that's pretty good alignment. We can go for the reheat now. And I'm typically do this at lower temperature and lower air because it is leaded. Okay, here we go. So this could end up still being a complete failure, because not all of the 165s that have the looper problem are being fixed with this SMC replacement. but some of them aren't, and given that the 165s are a fairly valuable board still, at least for me. Holy... Alright, I obviously had too much flux there. Some people can redo SMCs on a sea of flux. I'm not one of those people. I've got to have the bare minimum. Not sure why that just decided to swim away like that. Anyway, we were lucky it didn't it didn't get to the point where the balls were starting to melt. Because if that had happened, then we'd have to do the whole process again. Okay, let's shift it in. It's dancing and we're home. That looks pretty good. Hard to complain about those. Ah, damn it. I always forget I need the hot air up. I need the extractor to cool down the board. Okay, let's see how this goes. Probably be the same result, but it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. Okay, we're in 500, 600, so it's looking positive so far. Come on, give me that blink. Yes! 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 Fixed. Yeah. Oh, I was channeling a bit of Vince then. Vince gets excited when you fix things like that. It's bloody awesome to see too when he does. And lo and behold, it's a 1.64 gig. How pitiful. Oh well. I did check that before, but I proceeded anyway. So we fixed it. Yeah. The tip that I have on that is a helical air tip. Okay, so I can now remove that and say it's not a looper anymore, it's a working board. So that is nice. I am kind of curious though, because most people who encountered this fault also end up replacing the SMC, but it still happens. So there does seem to be two distinct types of failure. There is the failure which is the SMC doing it, and then there is the failure where it is something else doing it. Creature, you don't count. You don't count. I only sort of get interested in your excitement creature when it's a plane that you're flying and it stays up in the air and actually flies more than 5 minutes. Then that's exciting. Alright, so let's erase that and I'll go stick it up on the queue. The other thing I'm going to have to be careful though is that this is obviously from a prior customer job, and I replaced the board with another one, which means that whatever serial number this is carrying will have to be changed before I can utilize it. Because otherwise what will happen is Apple will start seeing on their network they will have two machines reporting the same serial number, and it could cause some issues. Yeah, Miles, that is quite possible. That is certainly quite possible. I'm just happy that I'm able to, restore these back because, like I say, I've got 34, 37s, I've got, dime a dozen, no trouble. But 165s, as you know, they're a little bit less common or less available, and they are somewhat more coveted because they're a newer board. Let's see. I kind of wanted to put it into a chassis and see that it boots and everything first. Okay, I'm just going to put my SMC hot thingy-jig away. Hanging up there again. Boom, boom, boom. We also need a chassis. A screen and such. What have we got here? Screen and battery. Who are you? You're an unknown entity. But we need a heatsink. And we need some retaining screws for the heatsink. Not much, but a teeny dot of thermal paste. We don't want to put too much on here, just enough to stop it from killing itself. That's heaps. Because I'm going to have to wash it off anyway. Or rather, I have to wipe it off before I put it into the ultrasonic cleaner. The ultrasonic cleaner doesn't really take too kindly to thermal paste. It just sort of makes the water murky. It really isn't a good thing to have add into the tank. So if you do have an ultrasonic cleaner, try to wipe off the paste as much as you can, especially the original paste, the grey, gritty stuff. Okay. Man tries to smuggle 160 CPUs and 16 folding phones through customs by taping to his body. What the hell was he trying to smuggle them into Russia or something? Fun. Where's that fan? Oh, danke. Not really the prettiest of setups. Smuggled into China. Oh, okay. Option. Wow, that fan's pretty dodgy. I think it's grinding. XFX in China recently got caught with tax evasion. They were making cards as lower models to try and get more profits. Huh. I don't know who XFX is, but tax evasion's always one of those things that, well, there's evasion and then there is minimization. I've got no problem with minimization, but tax evasion seems to be something that usually ends up catching you out. Okay, this is not booting properly. Something's not right here. That or... Sometimes this... Did it just bong? Okay, interesting. We'll give it a moment to come up. Because if it just bonged, then it's going to be spending a minute trying to find its boot drive before... Yeah, there we go. It might have been because the SMC got changed. And the PRAM wasn't set or something like that. Yeah, I don't know what state it was in before. Man, that fan is terrible. And... to add-in board partner for AMD's graphics division. They're basically what to AMD what EVGAs do. Oh, okay. Oh. Yeah, you got to wonder about people trying to skim the system. I mean, I guess ultimately it is profitable. You know, crime. They try to tell you crime doesn't pay, and they try to make examples of the people who get caught. But it's hard to deny that overall crime seems to pay off pretty good for a lot of people. Oh, good that you fixed it, B-Dog. Okay. Yeah, I'd say that was just simply a case of it was doing a PRAM reset. I have had that happen a couple of times. Okay, so 1.6 i5, 4 gigs. Yeah, I should try to do a memory upgrade for the heck of it. Yeah, make these 8GB units. Especially since I do have some of those. Yeah, so like this is an 8GB board. It's also a fake booter. I should check that one out next. The biggest problem with upgrading the RAM is the pain of actually reballing the RAM. They're one of those chips that are a complete pain in the ass to RAM. These ones in particular. Because they have a ridge that runs down the middle of them, which means your stencil does not sit so nicely on them. So you end up actually having to reball one side and then the other. Or the easier way, to be honest, I found is just reball it manually. Okay, so I think we can certainly put this one through the wash and make use of it. Certainly as a backup, add it to the archive of boards. Okay, what did I do with my T5? Oh, there it is. Dedicate. I do have a stencil for them, but it just doesn't sit as nicely as I would like. So I'll have a look at it again. But yeah, it sort of needs to be one of those 3D stencils with the ridge recess allowed for it, or just simply a whopping great big hole cut out of it. That would be the easier thing. Okay, I'm just going to stick this up on the ultrasonic cleaner for tomorrow's ultrasonic cleaning run. Ridged memory chips are your favourite because it's easier to reclaim the gold out of them. Okay, why is that? Well, you just knock the ridge off and the gold's there. What's the trick? Tell us your tricks, creature, so that we can then steal all the ridge chips from you so that you can't get access to them, and we'll take the gold. Oh, this thing doesn't even boot. Did I take something off this board, perhaps? 250. Yeah, it's a strange value. Okay, let's go to voltage mode. Ridge covers the bonding wires. Oh, okay, cool. Well, that was a lucky guess by me, wasn't it? Certainly wasn't anything else. SMC and ISL seem to be okay in this case because, oh, we saw a glitch there. Oh, it's glitching. Glitching. Means we've got a heartbeat somewhere. Something on here is heartbeating. And let me guess, I've got the wrong freak. I bet you this booted. The kernel version I've got is not going to like this. You know how last night when I tried to run the infrared camera and it crashed out? Well, unfortunately it's booted back into that kernel by default. Schematics. Let's see what the... let's see, Ubuntu mainline kernel. Let's see what we're up to. Hey Toby. Oh yeah, Creature, I did see that. Yeah, the one where I was wondering what was causing all those lines on the snow. I suspect it was a just someone with a one of those Bob's sled things. That's all. Okay, we've got RC8 here, so I might actually download RC8. It's interesting. I see they don't have low latency version anymore. Maybe they've given up, or they're just not bothering with it for the moment. The Ubuntu updates do not give me the latest mainline test kernels though. Yeah, I'm not being bleeding edge to try and be an elitist. I'm being bleeding edge because of the fact that unfortunately this is a 12th gen setup, so I kind of basically need the very latest in order to be able to utilize the chips. Do not do what my boss did in previous job. He needed a transport company and saw a van outside called Transpartner. So put it in. Oh, oh my god, yeah, Transpartner. Alright, yep. I can see how that went wrong. So wrong. Well, you know, there's always going to be reasons for using one distro or another, but overall I still have not found a compelling reason to move away from Ubuntu. You know, it's got its pros that other things don't have, etc. Biggest one being the fact that if anything's going to come out in hardware for Linux, it will have Ubuntu support. That's it. Yeah, hopefully this will build the... Okay, it has built the module I need. This module here, this A1, that there is for the capture card. So it looks like that's built properly, so that's what matters most. It's a lot easier these days than what it used to be. Like, you know, 1996 to be fair, back in '96 you basically only picked hardware that you knew was going to be supported, particularly with things like network cards and graphics cards. Networks cards, if you picked anything other than a 3-com 905 or 509, then you deserve to have your backside kicked. Alrighty, okay, well that means I'm going to have to do a reboot, so we'll be back in 5 minutes to stuff around with this one.